All right. So we're back here on another special Couch Coach Live. We're here once again, Couch Coaches. It's Tuesday. We got our guy here, Thad, in the building. What's going on, Thad?
What's good? What's good, man? Appreciate you having me on.
And no
Once again,
problem, man. And definitely huge shout out to my co-host Maui taking a bye week this week. So we brought in there forcing my guy Thad is in the building. So we got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna recap the NFL draft, our part 2 series. So we'll talk about our biggest winners and losers at this point. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll be joined by our guy Damian Adams. He'll be joining us, and we'll be doing some our second annual NFL superlative. So definitely look forward to that. So before we get going, we gotta kick that intro and get that going. Fire up there. Head up. All right, and we're back at it. So, man, what a great NFL draft that we had, and a huge shout out to our guy Cruz from the Football and Chill podcast, who did a great job hosting us on Thursday for the draft, man. Yo, it's funny, man. I was done. Like Friday, I was good, but then like once I got off work and did what I had to do. Man, I was asleep by like 9 o'clock, man. That draft, because I think we finished up around about like 12:30. Yeah, we about 12:30, and I like, oh, that was way past my bedtime, man. So yeah, it was great, man. What was your thoughts on the draft and our coverage?
I liked it. First time doing it, I enjoyed it. I hopped on a little late, and I enjoyed my time. I wish I would have stayed on a little longer, but overall, the draft was good. Lived up to the hype. And I watched Thursday, Friday, and on Saturday, I didn't really watch it, but I have 2 TVs right here. So like I had it on and I was listening, to when our picks came on. So I enjoyed it. Lived up to the hype. Looking forward to the season.
Yeah, and I definitely like that because that was the first time I've ever done, like you said, the coverage of the draft. Like normally I watch it, maybe like tweet along with some people, nothing too crazy. But that was actually fun. And like it's just as far as having, everybody around. I almost felt like a holiday, like almost like getting around your family and getting around your folks. So definitely was a great time. So Thad, you are a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. Your thoughts on the Jags draft?
My overall grade for the draft would be a B+. I liked it. I disagree with some picks. Some picks I would have gone with certain players for different position groups. But overall we hit every need, so I can't discredit the new team. Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer, I think they did a good job, and I'm looking forward to the season. We hit, overall at first we got our need, quarterback. We got the quarterback of the future, so we secured that hopefully for the next 15 plus years. I disagree with the Travis Etienne pick, but once Urban Meyer explained how he was going to use him, I agree with it a little bit. I would have gone with another playmaker maybe, but, once he revealed that he was going with Kadarius Toney, I couldn't be mad at him for going with Travis Etienne because they're going to use him in an Alvin Kamara type role. Yeah. And with pick 33, I was a little disappointed. I wanted to go with Mo Rig at safety, but we got Andre Cisco in the 3rd round from Syracuse. So, and that was one of the safeties that were sleepers coming off an injury that I really liked. So, I was excited with that pick too. Walker Little out of Stanford had a 1st-round grade, so I'm okay with that as well. And in the 4th to 7th round, we hit on the other needs. I like Jay Tuflay to start off the 4th round as well. So, I like where we're headed. Hopefully, it's all about if these guys perform. The draft can look pretty. We can, hit all our needs, but if these guys can't play, it's not worth anything. So hopefully all these guys pan out, and I like where we're headed as a team.
Yeah, I love where you guys are headed. Like with the Jacksonville Jaguars, once again, I keep on saying the overwhelming theme of this weekend was you got the generational talent, Trevor Lawrence. You got a guy essentially who's going to save your franchise. He's going to put butts in seats and bodies in that pool. So I definitely love what Jacksonville did. Like you said, the ETN pick was a little suspect. But like you said, it's one of the things where that might end up being it's going to be a good duo going forward. So and I definitely like what you guys did, and it's pretty much at this point, third place is potentially second and third spot in the AFC South is plausible this year. I mean, because I think Houston, they're done. Like they're done. Like regardless of what happens. But yeah, I definitely like what you guys did, and I mean, just a simple fact of Trevor Lawrence, you're getting a guy who is, I mean, he's everything. He's like I said earlier in the year, he's gonna go into that pantheon of former Jacksonville quarterbacks, and the ones that we also mentioned earlier. We talked about Byron Leftwich, David Garrard, and Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
So he'll join a good list of former Jacksonville Jaguar quarterbacks, and I mean, this is definitely the biggest pick in franchise history.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. So yeah, and I think were you on air when we did the when we talk about how Trevor Lawrence has got to be the face of Head and Shoulders?
I don't think so. I think I came around. I was on for the ETN pick, but
yeah. So we were talking about that. Like, yeah, he's definitely going to be the some hair company is bound to happen, and it was just so funny. They had his press conference the other day.
Yeah, he's gonna be doing that all day. He's gonna get some type of hairdo, especially when he starts winning games. Hopefully,
yeah. I'm assuming with him having the cachet on that team, please don't let them don't hate this guy and make this man cut his hair.
That's not happening. They're not touching him. He's probably off limits. I'm pretty sure the coaches already said something like that.
Urban Meyer's like, nah,
yeah. None of that. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm a real fan. I'm optimistic, but I'm real at the same time. I see us going like 7-9. If we go any better than 7-9, that's a win for me. As long as we're competitive, and I'm just saying 7-9 because I think that's the impact that Trevor Lawrence is going to have, a 6-game impact. But yeah, Tennessee and the Colts, they're running that division for now, but we'll be on the way in about a year or two.
Yeah, and I definitely, like you said, and I'm like you when it comes to my Washington football team. I'm not going to say they're going to win Super Bowl every year, but you're going to see improvement year in and year out. So that's all you can hope for. And just as a fan, you want to be optimistic, but you still want to be real at the same token. So yeah, big time. So Thad, biggest winners of this draft.
For me, I'm gonna go with the Jets and the Browns for a couple of reasons. The Jets, they did what they didn't do. Well, what they did with Zach Wilson, they didn't do with Sam Darnold. They immediately surrounded him with some help, trading up to get Elijah Vera Tucker, getting Elijah Moore, and then getting your guy Michael Carter in the 4th round, which I think was a steal. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. To get that in the 4th round. Him and I forgot the other guy's name, but they were a dynamic duo. I remember watching them against Miami. They went for about 500 yards as a duo, which was crazy. Yeah. And even in, going back to free agency, they added our guy Keelan Cole and Corey Davis. So they immediately, Zach Wilson's immediately walking into a better situation than Sam Darnold ever inherited with the Jets. And, the Browns, they had some needs in the secondary and linebacker, and they hit the head on the nail. They got John Johnson and Troy Hill and from the Rams in free agency, and then they got JOK, the guy I know you wanted.
Yep.
And then they got him in the 2nd round, because of some heart issues, but he was a steal in the 2nd round, and I know he's ready to prove some people wrong. And then they got Gregory Newsome in the 1st round, which is a corner that was moving up the ranks as the weeks carried on. So I think they did a very quality job, those two teams. There's other teams too, the Chargers, the Jaguars, I could say the Dolphins, but those are my two teams. And I think the Browns are ready to compete. I still have the Chiefs as my favorite, but I think they can compete with the Bills as that 2nd team. So yeah.
Yeah, and to your points, the Jets did a great job. Shout out to Joe Douglas, Richmond stand up. And then also you look at the Vera Tucker acquisition as well, teaming up him, and also with my 15 South Oak Street brethren, Makai Becton, HSHS stand up. You get him coupled with that. And what's funny, they have two Michael Carters. What's interesting, they got Michael Carter, the running back from UNC. Then they got Michael Carter the second, a safety from Duke University. So how interesting that locker room will be when it's, during football season potentially, when Duke and Carolina square off, and so that's just an interesting with that dynamic of those two getting two Michael Carters in the same draft. And then also Elijah Moore was a great pick for them too. So you get him coupled with that. So I definitely like what the Jets did. The Browns, like I said, they covered the needs. At first, initially, we thought like Newsome might be kind of a questionable mark, but then we were like, well, you can't go wrong with having another cornerback, especially on that team. Yep. And then you got a guy like JOK, and you getting a steal for him, and he's just like versatile, and I think he's going to definitely help with that. And like you said, and the thing, I do see them in Buffalo kind of competing, but what ruined that domino was Buffalo. Not Buffalo, but Baltimore by trade Orlando Brown. I was like, why would you do that? Like literally that, like, you gave them the cure for their woes. Like, that's the only problem they have. Now they have a bookend left tackle and young and spry. Why would you do that? Because they're going to be in your way. Because now they have a tremendous upgrade at right at left tackle. So, I still think they still can compete. Cleveland, because Cleveland, once again, they're another one where the beauty with them and they were able to get the best available with their picks. So that's what made that like kind of an interesting draft for them, and they got what they needed. One of my biggest winners has got to be the Bears. Also the Bears in the NFC. I look at the simple fact of them getting a guy, Justin Fields. They needed that, because you look at really the main issues with the Bears was offensive line, and then obviously at least a quarterback that could play for all 16 games and don't have to be yanked. So you get him, and I think he's definitely gonna help this team. And I think we talked about it last night. Well, I think just Fields gonna get in soon. I think he'll probably be playing. Probably within I'll say about 5 to 6 weeks of the season, I think he'll be playing, because I don't think Andy Dalton's gonna do too much, and it's gonna pretty much force him in to play.
You know how that fan base is too.
Oh yeah. They are quick to pull to want somebody else. And then the other team was the Miami Dolphins. I think what they did, getting Waddle. They got a solid pick with him. Then also the other Jalen, Jalen Phillips. You get him, but the sleeper I like is the Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I like him. He definitely kept Ian Book clean in that pocket this year. He was definitely one of those guys on that line that definitely helped Ian Book tremendously at Notre Dame last season. And then what's the safety from Oregon?
Holland, yeah.
Yeah, Hollins, yeah. He got them as well. And they're another team where they got needs at their positions, and they got guys who I think could definitely make an impact for their team next year, and a team that we all think for the most part is a playoff team potentially, or at least a fringe playoff team as they were last year. So you get that, and then you get Tua a weapon. You give him some help on the offensive line. I think him and Austin Jackson from last year coincide with Eichenberg. That's going to be definitely a solid line for them going forward, and they can continue to build on it. I tell you that Laramie Tunstall deal is still cashing dividends.
And what I was gonna add, that Liam, the guy from Notre Dame, they always produce good linemen. So I think that's a steal.
Yep, because what's Quinn Nelson?
Yeah, he's the
Look at
best guard.
Yeah,
already.
yeah, Quinn Nelson. Yep, big time. So in this game of life, you always have to have winners, but now you're losers. Who are your losers, Thad?
I have the Saints and the Packers. The Saints for me, they didn't. That first round pick was a reach to me. The guy at Houston, and then their biggest needs to me were D line and corner because Janoris Jenkins left, and they didn't get a corner until the third round. And it wasn't a corner heavy draft, but there were some guys that could have gone in the second round. Asante Samuel Jr., the guy that went to the Cowboys, Kelvin Joseph, and they didn't get a receiver until the 6th or 7th round. So I just feel like they needed another guy on the other side of Michael Thomas. Because the slot guys are okay, but Tre'Quan Smith, I don't think he's a number 2. And, you need to help Jameis out as much as possible because they lost Jared Cook as well. In the Packers, I just, on the day Aaron Rodgers releases that little statement saying he doesn't want to come back, you reach for a cornerback, and then you go with the second best cornerback from Georgia. I appreciate that, though, because we got the first best cornerback from Georgia, Tyson Campbell.
Yeah.
So, they get Amari Rodgers in the third round. They get that center in the second round, which is good because they lost Corey Linsley. But I just feel like they didn't hit on, some of their main needs. And I think one of the biggest things they needed, even though Aaron Rodgers makes the other receivers look better than they are, they needed a true number 2. They could have gone for a Terrence Marshall or Elijah Moore, but they decided to go for the second cornerback from Georgia. So, those are my 2 losers for the day.
Yeah. My first loser, it's got to be your AFC South brethren, the Houston Texans. As a Texans fan, I have to be extremely thoroughly confused. So you didn't get a draft pick until the 3rd round. Then you get Davis Mills, a quarterback from Stanford, who. That's why I'm shocked because just the simple fact of okay, and this is even not even because to me it's just weird to me because I even thought in my mind, what if this is Sean Watson's situation dies down, like literally. So now you got him, Tyrod Taylor, and Davis Mills. Like you had so many other needs at that point that you could have took somebody besides a quarterback. I mean, your defense is decrepit. Like you got so many holes defensively. You should have drafted somebody in that spot instead of a project quarterback. All granted, and that's another thing where it was weird. The language. See, that's one thing too. The Davis Mills, everybody was defending it because he was a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. But then you kind of pull the covers down. This man has been hurt. I think he's only played 15 starts at Stanford, and I'm like, huh? Like, no one made a mention of that until you did some copious notes and and kind of read a little. I'm like, oh. I mean, but the first thing everybody was in mind, well, he was a 5-star coming out of high school, but no one talked about the injuries, the lack of starts. But and it's just and the thing with Houston is as a fan, it's got to be frustrating because you don't see any playing. Because on the show we've been talking about this since the beginning of the year. Once the season was over, just unload on Deshaun Watson. And obviously this is before all the situation that went down, because to me, why be so dead fast on keeping him for the simple fact of just to be rebellious? You could have got so much assets out of this. Because you think about it, what Miami and what the Jets did. Because I always look at those two teams that should have, went after Deshaun Watson prior to all the situations. And look at their draft haul. You could have had half of that, but you decided to just, you know what? I'm gonna have three quarterbacks on this roster, and 2 of them ain't gonna see the field at all potentially. So I was just really confused with what the Texans are doing, and at least you can say we gotta, if you're bad, at least you have a plan in place. They don't have a plan in place, and it's to a point where it's just like it's frustrating. You
I
can't.
think they acknowledge. I think they acknowledge though that Deshaun's they're gonna let him go by drafting Davis Mills with that first pick.
Yeah,
So
right, right. But the thing is, this though, they probably knew this in January. They knew this prior to the draft, prior to the allegations. And for the life of me, you could have got a Sam Darnold, a Tua Tagovailoa. You could have got any of those guys, but Houston was never returning people's phone calls. And yeah, I get like you're right. They probably had that in place, but now you're gonna get nothing for him. Like it's gonna just be like it's literally almost you're gonna let him walk. You're gonna let a 25-year-old quarterback in his prime walk for nothing because you wanted to be spiteful. Like we told people January 4th, Black Monday, I would have been on a call with somebody. Hey, let's make some deals. Like you can't. It's like this is not how you're supposed to run an NFL franchise. You cannot hold a 25-year-old franchise quarterback hostage, man. You had to do something, some compensation for that. It's no direction. Like our guy, shout out to our guy Jalen from the Unpopular Podcast. Yeah, man, they just don't have no plan. And the other loser was the Seahawks. I mean, they're literally gonna have a 6th-round draft pick, probably gonna start at the offensive line in Forsyth. Like it's just like it's getting bizarre. Like these two teams, it's just getting to a point where it's just like, well, like you got this man in the 6th round. He's probably in that offensive line is so bad that normally a 6th-round pick doesn't start, but he's gonna start. And so those are, I think, definitive out of two biggest losers. And the beauty thing about this draft was it wasn't really a lot of losers. And basically, the main crux of the reason why these two teams, in my personal opinion, were losers because they only had a certain amount of draft picks. I think like Seattle had 3. I forgot Houston might have had like 4 or 5 picks. But everybody else, for the most part, at least was from an A to at least a C plus. I mean, and this is one of those drafts that's weird where the rich got rich, in my opinion.
that's true.
Like with Kansas City getting Bolton in the 2nd round, and then a couple with Orlando Brown Jr. I mean, like what a hell of a draft for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, they should. That O line is good. That's not going to be a liability anymore. Yeah. They got Orlando Brown. They got the guy that was a doctor. I forgot his name.
Tardis something. Tardis. Yeah. Or something. Like, I know you're talking about
Joe Tooney, and then I forgot what's his name. Long came out too. Which Long it is, I don't know, but the lineman that retired from the Bears.
Cal. Yeah, Cal Long.
Yeah, Cal Long, and he was I think he was a Pro Bowler when he played.
Yeah, for the Bears.
I think they got that need taken care of.
Yep. So still no realization. That's true. Yep. And and I agree with you where it's just like, and the thing about, and that's what, like you said, I just think they don't, and they should, they should get feedback from the actual player itself. And I think this is an issue that's just in every workplace, essentially, in most cases, where the people who are actually on the field, who's actually putting in the work and seeing how things are from day to day, know what they need. Like Russell Wilson, like when he demands offensive line, he sees it. He knows, hey, I need an offensive line. I need this, I need that to make myself successful. And like he said, in his organizations, and it's almost like the Green Bay situation where essentially they not listening to Aaron Rodgers. They just going against the grain, like you said. You talked about it earlier, that where they got the 2nd best cornerback, and was it Eric? I forgot. Was it Eric? Eric, yeah. It got him, and and then the thing about it was the whole Kevin King situation. They re-signed him, and it was like, I mean, It's just weird, man. Like you said, it's just one of the things where it gets confusing. And like I said, I just think they honestly don't care about, as far as the input of what the players say. They really just, like I said, they protect their shield, and they go in what they call their best interest. But it's something. But yeah, it's a trip. But yeah. So yeah, those are my two biggest losers. So what we gonna do? Let's see what we got here. So we'll move on to here. We got our guy here, our guy Damian, aka DA. He's in the building. We get ready to cue him up. What's going on, DA?
What's going on, fellas?
What's good?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just glad to be on the show with you guys.
Yes, indeed. Definitely appreciate you for coming on tonight. So, first, before we get started, what was your thoughts on the Saints draft?
I was a little shocked. I thought for sure we would go cornerback earlier. Like I thought we would take somebody like Asante Samuel Jr. or maybe even take a chance on a Caleb Farley. I know he had the back injury, but he was somebody who had amazing upside, according to the experts. So I figured we would go there if I need that cornerback, especially with Marshawn Lattimore having his legal issues. We don't know if he's going to be suspended to start the year. And we already let go of Janoris Jenkins. So when we went defensive end, especially with the defensive end that we went with, I was a little shocked with that in the first round. But I did like that we picked up a linebacker and a cornerback later. I didn't mind the QB in the fourth round. If Jameis doesn't work out, we have somebody there who maybe can learn under the system and can be the QB of the future if Jameis isn't it. We know Taysom isn't it from last year. So overall, I don't mind the draft. I was just a little shocked that we went DN that early, and with the DN we went with, it felt like a reach.
Yep, we were just talking about that earlier as far as the reach with that. So we're gonna do some NFL draft superlatives. So the first question, the quarterback likely to win a playoff game in 2021. I'm gonna go with you first, Dad. Who you got?
I'm sorry to do it to you, but I'm gonna go with two quarterbacks. I can't choose between them. I'm going with Trey Lance and Mac Jones. I think both those quarterbacks are in the best situations. And I think Trey Lance is going to play earlier. I don't know if Mac Jones will see the field this season. I don't know how Cam's going to bounce back. But, the 49ers, they have a great O-line, great play caller in Kyle Shanahan. Some weapons on the outside, a great tight end, and a solid defense. They were banged up last year, and they still went 8-8. So he's walking into a great situation with a good football team. So I could see them, making some noise in the tough NFC West. And then on the other side, Bill Belichick and them, they had a down season. I think going 7-9, but they're bouncing back. They made a lot of splashes in free agency, and then they addressed some needs in the draft. And I think they got a steal in Christian Barmore in the second round. So I think those teams are going to, both be in great situations and add to their win total from 2020. So, I can't choose between the two, but if I had to, I'd be going with Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan. I think they're going to do some damage this year with everybody, healthy coming back. I think they're going to be a team to watch out for.
Okay, cool. DA, who you got?
Yeah, I got to go with Trey Lance. You look at the situation he's going into. When healthy, San Francisco is a Super Bowl ready team. And we know Jimmy G most likely will be the starter day one. But we know through either injury or lack of production, he most likely will lose that job. Trey Lance gets to step in. He gets a chance to sit back, learn a little bit. Then once he steps in, you have that roster with all those weapons around him, that defense. I think they have a real chance to go pretty far in the playoffs, depending on how good he is come later in the year.
All right. So, hey, guys, I'm going to go against the grain, fellas. Justin Fields. Justin Fields. I definitely think, and we talked about it a little earlier, that way. I think he's gonna probably play early. I think he's gonna probably play, I say, within like 4 to 5 weeks of the season. And I think Andy Dalton's will be, he'll hand over the keys to the car. He'll never get the car back. And this team, and they're almost not, and I even saying like roster wise, but Chicago has pieces definitely defensively. If they get their offensive line together, I definitely think this team can still make another run to the playoffs. Because you think about it, hell, they made the playoffs last year with pretty much inconsistent quarterback play. When you had, Mitchell Trubisky, nephew, and then also and then also Nick Foles. So you look at that situation where there was a carousel going on there, where it was just like musical chairs quarterback wise there, and if Justin Fields is there and he can be the consistent starter, I definitely think he'll be a one that could potentially host a playoff game in Soldier Field potentially, and can ride the ship in Chicago.
I like that pick a lot. Chicago, they made the playoffs last year, like you said. Once they got there, the lack of having a good QB really showed against the Saints. But if they got a real QB in Justin Fields, they may be able to win one. So I like that pick.
Yeah, big time. So, quarterback most likely to be the best quarterback in 5 years. I'm going to go with you first, DA.
I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence. I feel like he has all the tools to be the best QB of the bunch. Being that tall, good arm, good speed. I think that's an underrated part that we didn't hear enough about because we knew he was going number one. The big-time media companies didn't talk about him that much going into the draft as far as, exactly how good he is. But I think he has all the tools to be great. Hopefully Urban Meyer and that crew can build around him so he's not just, beat up like a David Carr was back in the day for the Texans. But I think he definitely has the most potential of the group, and there's a reason why he was this guy who was the top of the hierarchy for so long. We heard about him coming out of high school, So I think that pedigree will show off in the NFL as well.
Yeah. Dad, who you got?
I'm going with two guys again, but if I had to pick, it'd be Trevor Lawrence. It'd be Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance. For reasons I stated earlier, Kyle Shanahan's the top 2 play caller in the league. He knows how to get the best out of his quarterbacks and, scheme him in the best position to be successful. So, that's why I will go there. But, for me, I'm going Trevor Lawrence. I think he's just a generational talent. Urban Meyer is very creative in his play calling. And, he got Darrell Bevell, who was with Russell Wilson from 2011 to 2017. And those were some of his, better years as a younger quarterback. And I think he's just going to, they're going to get the best out of him. They're going to surround him with weapons, keep him protected. And, at first, I think they're going to build him from the ground up. He's not going to be throwing the ball 40 times his rookie year. But as he, develops as a quarterback, I think they're going to lean more on him. But they're going to set him up for success. And in 5 years, I could see him be a potential MVP candidate. And hopefully leading us to, some Super Bowls and AFC championships. So I'm going with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. I think mine's going to be Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance, he's another one, and we always talk about ad nauseum, the whole Kyle Shanahan dynamic, where, I look at him as, and I think I talked about it yesterday, where I think he finally, and it's funny, because a lot of people didn't think Shanahan liked athletic quarterbacks, obviously, just with the whole situation in Washington, how that kind of blew up in their face. But this definitely proves the notion that he likes athletic quarterbacks, and the team is stacked. That's a good thing about that team. And that's another. They had a great draft. They also filled up needs, especially in the offensive line. Then also get Trey Sermon. So those guys are going to be integral parts of the puzzle. From now to 5 years from now, and San Francisco, and it's going to be interesting of how Kyle Shanahan, as far as uses his strengths, and I think it's going to definitely help him going forward. And I think he will be the best quarterback in 5 years, and he'll definitely, in by virtue of him being in the best situation, I think personally within the next 5 years, I think if I look at it at this point, if I had to put money on it, Kyle Shanahan will be the coach of the San Francisco 49ers in 5 years compared to the other guys, other quarterbacks on the team. I'm not sure about Urban per se. Matt Nagy, aka the quarterback whisperer, if he screws this up, he's out the door. So I think as far as from a stability standpoint, I would say Trey Lance.
No, that's a really good point about stability and having that coach in that same system for the next 5 years. That's a great point.
Yeah. So, fellas, next topic. Let's see. All right. Player likely to have the biggest impact on the team this season coming up. I'm going to go with you first, Thad. Who you got?
This might surprise some people, might not, but I'm going with Jalen Waddle. Him and Tua reconnecting from his freshman and sophomore year at Alabama. I think, this is one of the things, besides Will Fuller, this is one of the things he needed, a deep threat. He was going underneath a lot because he didn't trust his guys. they weren't getting the biggest separation, and Jalen Waddle being taken. I think this is a home run hit. He's going to take the top off of defenses, and Tua trust him already. They have a connection from Bama, so he's going to feed him a lot of targets, and I could see him just going potentially, all purpose. I think he'll get to 1,000 because I think they're going to use him in the return game a little bit. So I just think in the return game, in the pass game, maybe even on some jet sweeps, the Dolphins are going to utilize him to the fullest, and he's going to dominate this year.
Yeah. Who you got, DA?
I'm gonna go with Najee Harris. I think that the one thing that Pittsburgh was really missing last year, especially later on in the year when they were going down that hole that they went into after going 11-0, was a consistent running game and a running back who can not only run between the tackles, he can go out wide for you. He can catch screens for you. And with Ben Roethlisberger, he needs that running back who's going to catch those short routes for him. He's no longer the guy who's going to throw it 60 yards down the field. So when you have someone like Najee Harris to hand the ball off to 20 times, catch 5-10 balls a game, I think his impact is going to be major, and you can see that offense really improve because of it.
Yeah, big time. That huge shout out to our guy Jalen from the Unpopular Podcast. He chimed in, said, "I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman because he's exactly what Baltimore needs." And I agree. They definitely needed him. And even though they had to give up Orlando Brown that's right. That wasn't that pick. That was third. No, that wasn't that pick.
No, that wasn't the pick.
That wasn't that pick. Yes, right. Because that was 32nd. That was their original pick. So yeah, they definitely needed wide receiver help, big time. Out the dark pick, Zaven Collins. I think what he's going to do in Arizona is definitely going to help. I mean, and that's one thing, they're going to have a sneaky good defense. I think a lot of people really are going to get caught up in their offense. Obviously, with Kyler Murray. D-Hop, and then also AJ Green as well. People are going to be enamored by their offense. That's going to be the one that's going to generate the headlines. But the defense is slowly going to be interesting. Definitely, you look at, I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be, I think he's going to kind of play to his potential this year, potentially. At J.J. Watt, and then you got the sleeping Zaven Collins coming in, and I think he can be one of those ones that can make an impact. Not necessarily a Chase Young type of impact as far as that is concerned, but I think he'll definitely, of all the rookies, especially at this year, I think he will definitely make an immediate impact, especially on the defensive side.
No, I like that pick a lot because when you mentioned their defense, like they were one step away from the playoffs last year. So if he's that missing piece for them, that's a major impact right there. So yeah, that's a great pick.
Yeah, and then to get him at 16 was kind of that was a solid for him to even be there because a lot of people, and that's one thing with the mocks where we did mocks and it's just like he was kind of teetering in that level. So he was at one point it was higher than 16 at one point, but for him to drop at that point was perfect for them. So
yeah, their front seven is pretty loaded now. J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones. Him and Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons can play some linebacker too, so yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, player likely to be the best player in 5 years. I'm gonna go with you first, Thad. Who you got?
Once again, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence. I think that he's just a generational talent. He wanted to go to the Jaguars to turn around the franchise. We've never been really relevant. Maybe we might have a year here and there, but, I hope we're relevant for the next 10 years, and I know that's his goal to be one of the best ever. So I just think Urban Meyer with his, his creativity on offense, and like I said earlier, Darrell Bevell, what he did with Russell Wilson when he was a young quarterback, he already knows what to do. So he knows how to set his guy up for success, and I just feel like Duval will be relevant because of this generational talent and the guys he's coming in with. As long as, Urban Meyer doesn't, if we go through some struggles, he doesn't, tap out and make some excuse about, just some excuses to walk away. As long as he's around, him and Darrell Bevell around, I think they'll be fine. And I think Trevor Lawrence will, elevate our team to heights we've never seen.
Big time. DA, who you got?
I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I think the connection between him and Burrow from LSU is going to carry over to Cincinnati. And in 5 years, I can see them developing that team to where he's going to have such an impact. So not year 1, year 2, you're going to see sprinkles here and there. But by year 5, that's when he's going to be fully in his prime. And I can see him being one of the best, if not the best receiver in the NFL. Like, because he sat out last year, I think people forget how good he was and how dominant he was at LSU. So I think he's going to be one of the best players in the league, period, in 5 years.
Yeah, because you think about it, like you said, 2 years ago, he was the number 1 wide receiver. The number 2 guy, Jefferson, was breaking, NFL receiving records.
Yes, sir.
So just imagine what they'll do there. So mine's actually definitely he chimed in, definitely Jalen John. I'm gonna say the same thing. Mine's is Penei Sewell. So I think because what's gonna end up happening is Detroit doesn't have their future quarterback on his roster. I think next year is going to be the year either they're going to get my guy Sam Howell, the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner. I'll put it out there right now, or Spencer Rattler. So those you look. So to me, I think they're probably going to get either one of those quarterbacks, and I think much of their success going forward is going to be having a blindside protecting Penei Sewell there. So. Definitely think Sewell, and I still I was mad that Cincinnati didn't get him, but it's all good. But like you said, you get a guy like Jamar Chase there. It's almost like it's one of it's a toss up, and but
yeah,
I just think the simple fact of when I seen Myles Garrett at the draft, I'm like, they have to face that man twice in a year. Somebody gonna have to. Somebody gonna have to, make sure he doesn't get. Make sure Joe Burrow don't even have any contact with him. Like, please.
They have Clowney too.
Huh?
I said they have Clowney too. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Gotta pick your poison there.
Big time. Yeah, but definitely, I think of Sewell. So. Player likely to be a Hall of Famer. I'm gonna go with you first, DA.
So I'm gonna go with your pick. I'm gonna go with Penei Sewell because when you think about Hall of Famers, offensive linemen, it doesn't matter how bad the team is. If that offensive lineman stands out, they still can become a Hall of Famer. Like with a quarterback, if he's not winning, it's hard to make the Hall of Fame case for them unless it's like just crazy stats. But most Hall of Fame quarterbacks were winning quarterbacks. But offensive linemen, take somebody for like Joe Thomas, for example, with the Browns. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He never was on a good team, but we just knew he was a beast and just was in a bad situation. So even with Sewell being with Detroit, we know Detroit's been bad forever. Hopefully, eventually they become good. But even if they don't, he could be a Hall of Fame talent, and it won't be affected by the fact that the team is bad. Someone like a Trevor Lawrence could be amazing if Jacksonville never gets together. And he ends up going to a different team or something like that, that could affect his Hall of Fame status.
Yeah, big time. And I just hope they don't screw this up, Detroit. Like you got a good one. If you don't have a bad relationship with a future yellow gold jacket, like don't do it. Keep that relationship going. Thad, who you got?
I'm going with Kyle Pitts. He's a generational talent, 1 of 1. 6'6", 240, running a 4.4. He, has a basketball background too, which helps. I feel like he's just going to thrive in Atlanta. For one, being with Arthur Smith, he got the best out of Jonnu Smith. His years in Tennessee got him paid. In New England, I just feel like him playing in that offense, that pro style offense, with Matt Ryan's not going to go to the Hall of Fame, I don't think, but he's a quarterback that had a solid career. He's playing with 2 number 1 receivers, so a lot of the pressure is going to be off of him. He's not going to he can't see any double teams because that means Julio and Calvin really going to be single covered. So I feel like that if they don't trade Julio, he's going to feed off that for a long time and, find his way into a Hall of Fame career. He's one of those versatile tight ends. Like he's like what Shannon Sharp was back in the day before his time, He can play inside, he can play outside. He's not going to do a whole lot of blocking. He's going to do a whole lot of catching. So I feel like, he has the right guy to distribute the ball to. Matty Ice, he loves his tight ends, and he's just a distributor of the football. So I feel like he's going to feed off that for a long time. Even after Julio moves on. It's going to be him and Calvin Ridley. So, I see Kyle Pitts being one of the best tight ends of all time. Not like I'm not saying already like top 5, but I could potentially see him being in that conversation once he's done. So Kyle Pitts is my guy.
Yeah, definitely. Big time. That definitely can happen. Thad, man, I got your boy. T Long. I think because I know we talked about as far as 5 years down the road, he's gonna take some lumps. And I mean, that you're a realist. They're gonna take some lumps. His first 5 years may not be the best, might not be the ideal situation. He's gonna lose his first game since the 6th grade. I forgot when's the last regular season game he lost. Might have been like the 6th grade or something like that. I forgot what it was, but he's gonna take some lumps. But I definitely think he's gonna persevere in his career. I definitely think he's gonna be one. Like you said, he could be 15, 20 years down the line, and will be a good perennial quarterback in this league, potentially a Super Bowl champion, winning quarterback. I don't know if it could be in Jacksonville or could be somewhere else. I mean, I don't want to be doom and gloom. Like I don't want to be doom and gloom, but we hope that he stays in Jacksonville. Like we said earlier, we want to put butts and seats in Jacksonville and their bodies in that swimming pool. So we want to be positive in that situation with him. But I definitely think he's probably gonna have the best overall out of everybody's from a totality standpoint. The next 5 years is gonna be a toss up just due to the fact that the success of the teams that these guys are on at this point. Because Jacksonville always is an unknown, but I definitely think he's going to be the guy that'll be the Hall of Fame, the gold jacket of the class of 2021 at this point.
I mean, I like it. I pray that happens.
Right.
Tom Coughlin's going, so he's not gonna, he's not gonna run any young players out the door like he did with Jalen Ramsey. So I think it's gonna work out that way. He got graded up there with the Peyton Mannings, the John Elways, the Dan Marinos, the Jim Kellys, Andrew Luck. So all those guys have panned out. Andrew Luck, if he didn't retire, he was headed to being one of the best quarterbacks out there. So, we got our guy, like you said, biggest pick in the franchise history. So I think he'll pan out. Hopefully he gets us a couple Lombardi trophies.
Right, and even with Andrew Luck retiring, they probably would have still drafted Sam Ellinger anyway. So, hey, that's one of the question marks of the draft. But yeah, man. So, so that definitely wraps up our superlatives. Put a bow on this week's Couch Coach Live. Man, I'm gonna go around the horn. Da, final thoughts and where they can find you on social media.
I want to thank you guys for having me on, man. I really like the questions that you guys set up. It was really good. Made you think about projecting forward, so really like the challenge of that. So appreciate that. For me, you can find me at The Real Deal WDA on all social media platforms. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha, everywhere. My podcast, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, is on all podcast platforms. I do it weekly, and I also host the 3rd and 3 podcast, which we do every Wednesday night. So please go and check out those shows. If you like sports, you will like those shows. So please go check them out and support your boy.
Yeah, man. Tell Jason we said what's up, man. He was on our pod, I think, 2 years ago when the 49ers made it to the Super Bowl. So he did our preview for the 49ers. So definitely huge shout out to our guy, Jason, man.
Okay, I definitely will, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Thad.
Appreciate you, man, once again. Second time being on. I appreciate it. And, like I said earlier, looking forward to the season. I think we hit all the right places in the draft. It's just a matter if these players can play once we put the pads on. So looking forward to September. And you guys can find me at What the Game Means to Me podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook Live. Me and Jelani, we're coming to you guys with some content weekly. And we have an episode on Friday coming out, going over the draft a little bit and talking about some of the college football season too. Looking forward to the season that just passed and the season coming up ahead. So that's where you guys can find me. And I appreciate you having me on once again. Shout out to Off the Ball Network.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you, Thad. Definitely appreciate you, DA. Follow the podcast on any way you get your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, check out the podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Also, our YouTube channel, Couch Coach Live. Like, subscribe, comment, and definitely appreciate you guys for coming on this week. And this has been this week's Couch Coach Live, man. We'll catch you guys next week.